What's going on, everybody? Danny here from The Threshold. I am here tonight with Missy of Creative Music Management and Travis of the amazing metalcore band Scars Remain. What's going on, guys? Glad to have you back.
Hey, thanks for having us,
Hey,
Danny. Good to see
thanks
you,
for the
man.
invite, man.
Always good to get to catch up with you guys. So the last time that you and I chatted, Missy, we were talking about this crossover collaborative, trying to talk about being in a band, what it's like these days. Where do you start? How do you move from the basement to a stage, and just all kinds of general debauchery that comes with that. And then we kind of said, you know what, the hell with it. Let's just keep on rolling with it. So fast forward a couple weeks, here we are. We've invited Travis, who not only is frontman for this band Scars Remain out of Charlotte, but also does some dabbling in some graphic design, from what I hear. All around, just huge supporter of the metal scene, the rock scene, all things music out of North Carolina, South Carolina, and the likes. So let's talk music. Travis, again, great to have you here. What's going on in Scars world for just a minute here before we hop off the path? Let's get some credibility down.
Well, the last couple of months has really been just kind of fine tuning, tightening up the screws, and then we got an opportunity to play the Party Out Back last month, and it kind of gave us a look at where that practice is, if it paid off. We feel pretty confident headed into the summer season, and then honestly, this Saturday kicks off a pretty it's gonna be a pretty gnarly run of shows here for a couple weekends in a row. So looking forward to the challenge, man. And first and foremost, really just ready to get this new music we've been working on behind the scenes out to the masses. I think we're going to surprise some people with what some of the stuff we're about to release. Going to be different sides of us in every capacity. So we're pretty excited about it.
Dude, that's awesome. I know I am stoked as hell. And then I guess to kind of bring us all full circle, right? So Missy here, I understand you and her kind of go back a ways and may or may not be part of the same scene.
Yeah, no.
Which one of you wants to help connect the dots here?
So, Missy, we had the pleasure of bringing on Missy, and honestly, it was the best thing to come out of a bad situation, I think, at the time. I think it's the nicest way to put it. We got introduced to Missy. We've seen each other in passing through the years, but really kind of getting her involved when she came on just initially as she came on to kind of help us to run merch and help turn this into the business that it was not being ran as. And honestly, we have her to thank to this day. I mean, if it weren't for her, we wouldn't be profitable, would not be able to do what we do. So, it's been a godsend. And then, getting to know her over the years and seeing what she's been able to build, and that we consider them family at this point. So, part of the same scene, I think is a bit of underselling it a little bit. I think we're all part of the same family, and that's one of the things we've been really trying to build here in this local music scene. North Carolina, South Carolina, Virginia it's like a family. So it's cool to see, because when I came back into the scene 6 years ago, it was nothing like it looks like right now.
So a huge
7 years
kudos,
ago.
I think, very well said. I will reiterate, from just running in similar circles to Missy, and then finally getting a chance to meet her. So I think she's kind of blushing, and if not, I'm sure she is eternally. So Missy, just a continuous thank you for everything that you do to help bring this music scene together. Um, with you guys kind of working in the local scene, what are some of the emerging trends that you're seeing in local music as a whole?
I think trend wise, I don't know that there's anything super like setting trends right now. I think people are trying to catch up to them. And I think the one conversation point that we're going to talk on is going to allude to that. We're seeing a lot of progression coming out of the metalcore and, post-hardcore communities. And I think people are trying to play catch up to, what the masses want to hear. And I think there's some that are doing that pretty quickly and have really kind of garnered some steam. But I think as far as trend goes, I'm starting to see a lot more bands with just a single guitar player. And it's just something I've started to notice. And I think the difficulty comes in, it's hard to find one, much less two good ones. So that if you had to see a trend, I think that'd be the one that stands out the most to me.
That's a fascinating observation, and one that I know I never would have guessed or put my finger on. Missy, are you seeing anything from your end? I know you work with a number of bands across genres and locations.
I mean, just the way everybody is embracing each other and helping push each other has become huge in the scene over the last couple of years.
Mm-hmm.
You know, cross promotions, and like if you get asked to get onto a show and you can't do that show, people are actually suggesting other bands. Where before it was a constant hunt of, who can we get? Now it's, hey, let's boost up our homies over here in this band and let's hook them up with this. It's become, like Travis said, a family. We look
Mm-hmm.
out for each other, we help each other grow. And that's the trend on the positive side of it.
Yeah.
Like,
It
Well,
doesn't
well
get,
said.
yeah, it doesn't get any better than that. So I think to throw a wrench into this family concept and trends. Am I
No,
getting
you can't
a
throw no wrenches in this. You can't throw no wrenches in this family.
Oh, dude, this is what I do, man. I'm not even apologetic yet. So, uh, here's where things get really interesting, right? Welcome to 2023,
Yeah.
and one of the reasons that I wanted to kind of pull this thing back together and bring you on for some chat tonight, Travis. So let's talk about the emergence of AI, artificial intelligence, and kind
Yeah.
of where that's pushing the trends. So you do a little bit of graphic design, so you're already miles ahead of me when it comes to what AI is even capable of. But between scars and creative music and the threshold and all of these different things that are going on out there that are still individualized in a lot of ways,
Right.
I would love to hear your thoughts and Missy's thoughts on where are we going with this damn thing.
I think personally for me, it's a bit of a double-edged sword, right? It does create an ease of access to content. But if you really look at a lot of the algorithms that are being used for AI, especially for image generation and stuff like that, it is kind of taking, pieces from a ton of different kind of artist work and blending them into its own kind of, piece there. So I think on the credit to artist side of things, it's a detriment because a lot of people have put a lot of time and money and years into perfecting a craft. But on the side of it, someone who's, trying to juggle all of these other things, from an AI perspective to say, hey, I've got an idea in my brain, and with a couple of simple prompts, I can throw this into an image generator and get 10 15 results of it, something that exactly what you're looking for. Whereas if you were to sit down and try to do that from scratch, you may be sitting there looking at hours on hours of to pull something like that off. So, and then I mean, you're even seeing it pop up on the on the production side of things, with music production and some of the plugins and stuff that are being used now with AI algorithms that are basically, for lack of a better term, it's kind of generalizing music to a degree. I mean, you hear it on pop albums all the time, right? You could seriously, you got an idea for a song, throw a prompt into, Chat GPT, it'll spit you out an entire song in 15 seconds. You know what I mean? So you kind of already started to hear some of that, over the last few years, especially in pop radio. But there's nothing there. There's no substance to it, right? You got 15 songwriters telling you to say baby. That's shout out. But you're even seeing it in helping, kind of clean up mixes and, where other producers have put in their inputs. And now I can pull from a mix chain and make it look exactly like what a Howard Benson mix chain would look like. And that's all because of AI, so it's awesome for the sake of convenience. But, much like everything to this point, the world's changed so much in it's our generation, especially, right? We were the last to be playing outside and, see the birth of the internet, and then seeing how much reliance has been created on that. My primary concern is do we get to a point as a society where AI becomes just, it's just what we lean on? on the regular. The search and, you know, thirst for information that once was there, I think it will be detrimental to our trying to find that.
It's huge, and I think that's really good perspective, particularly from the band side. Missy, how about on your side? Because I know you're involved on much more of the behind the scenes, not the mixing side, but you do band management, you do merch, you do a
On
little
the
bit of
merch
everything.
side of things, it like Travis said, like it's convenience, really. And those designs come out so crisp. So we don't have to alter this to make it work. So like with Scar's new logo that he used the AI on with the wolf, it just pops. Like I can put it on anything we do merch wise, and it just stands out. As far as generating the music and stuff, I don't so much like that aspect of it, because I want to hear what I hear on that recording when they're on stage, or better. Like I want authentic when it comes from the bands. So yes, in the mixing and everything, you throw in a few extra little things, whatever. But if you as a band are using that to create all of your music, that's not authentic to me. Get in there, record your stuff, show them what you've got, you know? As for content wise, it's great content, but it can get overused as well. And I'm seeing that with a few different bands where they're just using that specifically for content, and you see the views going down, you see the followers going down. So it's win and lose on both sides of it. Like use it for and I'm a creative person, everybody knows this. But when it comes to coming up with the logos and the designs, if it helps and it saves like one of the local bands a little bit of money, I'm all for that.
I think it's a number of good points that you just made there, and I'm going to try to unpack it from this end. And mind you, I'm not I'm not a expert by any means. You could say mixing and producing, and you can say, logo design, and like I get it a little bit, but I'm just the guy with a microphone right now. So this is why you guys are here. But so first off, saving money, I think, is awesome. So right now, the technology is fairly accessible.
Free in some cases.
Do we think that that's going to go away? And what, because my thought is it will be monetized, and then, it'll be a fight for that, which comes with power and pull, especially in an industry like this. So, I mean, where's that going to take us, and what could that do to the local scene, especially?
Yeah, I it's hard to say. It would be conjecture at its finest to say, we could tell what's going to happen in a few years. But I mean, really, AI is in its infancy. We're only seeing the birth of it, right? So, but to that point, you've already started seeing it implemented with companies like Google and Meta and these guys that are using it to write content, and a lot of your scheduling and all these pieces that come in if you run any kind of Shopify or web integration stores, and all this automation and things that are all happening. It's all AI driven. So to that point, it will eventually get monetized. I mean, shit, you can have an AI do your job for you if you're a content writer. You know what I mean? So it's never been easier. Chat GPT, and it's royalty free technically. So you literally could copy paste whatever it tells you, proof it, make sure it's good to go. And I've even seen side hustles popping up online where people are telling people how to do this, and it's like, man, what a time to be alive.
Right?
But once it gets monetized, just like with anything, it'll limit its availability to most. But those who are willing to chase it, just like with NFTs, and you remember all the people who were told they were crazy going after Bitcoin back in the day, it'll be those people that are the early adopters that will see the benefit of it.
Missy, do you have anything to add to that?
No, that's just a conversation we've recently had.
Yep. Yep. Which, but it's fascinating to see all of this just go full circle. And, especially from our generation, right? I mean, we went from, depending on where we are in said generation, I mean, we literally watched record to cassette to CD to MP3 via Napster and LimeWire to now streaming. And and now we're getting to where it doesn't even matter what it is. Is it even real? Right. And so now we're going to be questioning that.
Right. Yeah, I mean, there's artists that have popped up over the last year or two. If you haven't noticed, they're completely AI generated personas with all AI generated music, and they're able to market at an alarming rate and amass a massive amount of followers. Like this. Because they're all over the internet. Bro, I've seen Terminator. I think everybody has, and I'm just saying, this shit's going to become sentient, and then we're all going to be like, man, we probably should have not done that.
So how, again, going back to something that Missy said, and the bands that are using it, and I'm not here to say that it's good or bad, because I do see both sides of it, right? But
Yep.
The experience of a concert I could see evolving too. And so, do we see more Milli Vanilli kind of stuff? Do we see just more DJs popping up and playing tracks? Or do we see this integration like a lot of bands are currently doing of just backing tracks and performing versus actually playing?
As someone who's guilty of one of those, no, no, but we do our best, on that to try to not put it on the record if we can't play it. But I think and I'm hopeful that I'm right here. And you're already starting to see a lot of it with bands like Bad Omens and Sleep Token and some of these, where they're integrating those pieces. A lot of their video content, backdrops and stuff, it's all AI generated imagery, and they're integrating it in a way that's tasteful. But again, I think it's going to come down to the over reliance on it. We're going to get so enamored with it that it's going to become stale. Then it becomes right now there's an easy way. You want to know how it's an AI image, just look at the hands, right? So there's always going to be faults, and if we become too reliant on it, I think the end result is what Missy kind of alluded to. There could be a nice blend, but if you use one way, don't make the right way. Damn, I'm full of those today.
I'm all for the authentic part of a show. And yes, a lot of my bands do run backing tracks, but I don't see that as a bad thing. But if it's taken too far, we lose that live aspect of things. Yes, you can be on stage and act like you're performing, but that's not like your true energy. There has to be somewhere where it levels out.
Yeah, and I completely agree. I mean, just as a concert junkie myself, I think some of my best memories at concerts are when bands have mess ups and they have to recover from it. And so you see them ad lib with the audience. You see them try to retune their guitar on stage, or whatever that looks like.
Travis has been through many of them.
I'm not trying to call you out, man. Like, don't blacklist me.
He played a whole show with a broken foot.
Yeah. 5 minutes or 15 seconds in the first song, it was like, bam, all right, cool. Well, and now it's broke. And oh shit, it's broke. All right. I felt so bad too. We were playing with the Light Divided that night at the Blind Tiger, funny enough. And I remember, like, after we got finished playing, I was like, I had to go to at the time we had an RV we were traveling in, and I remember going to the RV.
Carry you up there.
Yeah, bro, that was the worst. The hill at the Blind Tiger, right?
Yes, I do. I was just there on Saturday.
Yeah, dude, that thing sucks. You imagine doing it with a broken foot. Yeah.
While he's trying to carry guitars and everything else because he was being stubborn.
Jeez. So, and I guess that's an interesting concept too, right? If we were to take AI to outside of music, right? And I mean, can you say to some level of AI, like, hey, this is what's happened? Would that then be able to program a fix right there that you essentially go through and get your foot fixed right then and there and go right back to playing?
Yeah, no, I think we're well on our way there, especially with how fast it's advancing. I mean, it's an algorithm; it's going to learn. You know, it the more it learns, I think the better prepared it is to handle any situation. But there's always going to be the human element, right? And I think that's one of the things you got to take into consideration. There's a judgment call that has to happen in a lot of cases that program's not able or programmed to make.
And let's face it, the fan base wants that personal with the band. They don't want that artificial stuff. They want to connect directly to the band members. They want to connect to the music as a whole. And the performance, they feed off the energy of the band just as much as the band feeds off the energy of the audience.
Yeah, I could tell you with 100% certainty if we're playing a show and the crowd's got bad energy, mine is I try to give as much out, but it's hard to pour it it's hard to pour it into a cup that's like got holes in the bottom of it. You know what I mean? It's just like, man, all right, well, guess they're just not feeling it today.
So shameless plug. That means that we all need to absolutely lose our shit on the 27th for Michael's birthday bash, June 10th for Amp Fest, and we got June 24th Rooster Olympics, and we've got Blue Ridge. So we're all gonna absolutely lose our absolute shit for you because we need
not for us,
your
for
A game.
everybody. Musicians as a whole feed off of that energy, man.
All
Yeah, but you're kicking off that energy for Blue Ridge.
Touche.
But so, I'm going to go back to Missy and your point, Travis, right? Like, the scene itself is not a scene. It's not even a community. It is becoming a family.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's something that, at least I'm hopeful, technology, AI, whatever it looks like, doesn't pull away from that need for the true human interaction that does develop. And I think I'm biased as hell, but I think the rock scene, the metal scene, is much more in tune to that human connection than several others.
Yeah, I'd have to agree with you wholeheartedly there. It's the happiest place you'll ever be, and that's what's so funny to me, that people think they look at metalheads and they're like, man, those people are dangerous. Like, just come to a metal show. See, we're not dangerous at all unless you want to be.
Exactly.
The amount of hugs and laughs,
right?
And just looking at the photos of the crowd during the smiles, the energy,
genuine happiness.
Yes. Yeah. And that's my happy place. I told Travis at one point when I was getting stressed out, like, Scars is home for me. That's where I started in this local scene. And, me and Travis, our relationship goes beyond management. We are family. Like, literally, we will sit down as a family and eat. His daughters, like, they're some of my favorite humans in the world. When it came to my niece's birthday, Travis pulled my niece on stage and sang happy birthday to her. That's what this scene is. That's family. That's true, authentic, just 100%. If we're not talking, if we see each other as having a bad day and we're not calling each other, there's something wrong.
I do it often. I'll see Missy, but a post that seems a little vaguely like pissed offish, and I'm like, I call her and be like, "You okay? You good? You good?" No, I mean, but to double down on that point, you're even seeing it, amongst bands, band to band. People at the drop of a hat when something blows up, or not literally blows up, but shit pops off, and somebody needs a friend or an ear, man. Everybody's chomping at the bits to just be there for one another, and it's a really cool thing to be a part of right now, I got to say. I mean, and even the people that aren't necessarily in bands that have started to come on this journey with us, as this whole train keeps moving, man. This thing keeps adding cars, and it's really cool that every single one of those cars is technically, I'm using a really long analogy here, but every one of those cars is, kind of connected, and, everybody's kind of bouncing around from one to another. And it couldn't ask for a better scene to be a part of than what's going on in the Southeast right now. And I think give it time, North Carolina could be pumping out some of the best rock content in, the last couple of decades.
And I think it's already starting.
Absolutely agree.
To be honest, over the since the end of the COVID shutdowns, North Carolina's just popped off as a whole.
Mm-hmm.
And we've embraced the new way of things, and that brings like to the headlining situations and stuff like that, which we are seeing all over social media these last few days. And bands aren't ranked by the way they're put on a lineup. You want the energy to flow through the night. The opener could be the one that sets the bar for the rest of them.
That's exactly right. And
and it's embracing one another. It's not that this band's better than this band. It's who we want to keep that crowd going all night long. And right now we're seeing it thin out towards the end of the night. And we want to keep that energy going until that last band steps off stage. Or even after that, until they go to the merch tables and get to meet these bands and actually touch base. And,
that buzz, that vibe it's euphoric in so many ways. It really is. And, it kind of going back to how we kick things off tonight of, if you're in a band and you're getting started and you're trying to get out of the garage, it sounds like the general consensus continues, right? Get out and meet people. Just
network
be
is
yourself
huge.
And be social. Like, don't just be genuine about it, right? Like, if you can genuinely give a shit, it really does pay dividends.
Don't expect everybody to come to you.
Right.
You put yourself in this little corner and expect everybody to come to you. No, you need to go out and market yourself. Ultimately, market your brand. And that's what a band is. Travis touched base on the business aspect of it and how I brought some of that into Scars. Every band needs to look at it that way, because ultimately your merch, your brand is how you're paying for these recordings, how you're paying for your next run of merch. It all kind of wraps in together. And if you're not out there networking and supporting your own brand, nobody else is going to support you.
Yep.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. And if I can give some perspective, like getting out of the garage or the basement or wherever you're practicing, man, it's not easy. You got to stay humble. You got to put in the work. And ultimately, it's funny. We were talking about this on with Michael yesterday, pulling the Rooster podcast, and the show on Saturday is going to be the 200th show that we played as Scars. So like to kind of give some perspective, man, you're gonna have to put in the work. You can't skip the steps. You just put in the work, keep your head down, network, make friends, just be good. Just be a good person. And, the rest of it comes naturally. And it helps if you got some talent. But you're the people are going to support you just because you're a good human being. You know what I mean? So just put the energy out into the world. You want to get back. It's a simple way to tie it back.
Spot on with that, man. I think it's just, I wish more people would just own that, and even to your point, just from a threshold perspective, right? A little bit of talent can go a long way, but being a good person, like in some of the blogs and some of the groups that I'm a part of and continue to see, it's, people want to see that engagement and that genuine care. And if you can take a decent picture and write a decent review, then all of a sudden you're exponentially further ahead. But it starts with actually caring. Like, if you're just doing this because you just need something to pass time, if your heart's not truly in it, it shows. And so, and I think the same will be said about all of our day jobs, about, just everything that we do. It's truly, it's an exponential wave that you could create.
Approach everything with gratitude. That's it, but really it's the best way to do it. And I think, one of the things that Missy and I both have had kind of really taken a headstrong approach on doing that is doing that this year. And Just when you look at everything with that perspective, it just kind of everything else doesn't really matter. You know what I mean? Like, and ultimately every day you wake up and take a breath, you're blessed. So why be pissed off about it?
Nailed it. Absolutely nailed it.
You never know whose day you're going to change. That's my outlook on it. No matter what you're going through, always show kindness. Always be authentic with it. We don't need the negative. It's counteractive to what any of us stand for, really. You can put your heart into something. And yes, I love what I do because 90% of my work revolves around music. That's my life.
Yep.
It's music and cannabis for me, so I'm doubly happy.
do you know how to not be kind and calm and chill and just awesome as hell? And
ask me when this gummy wears off. No,
that's fair. That's fair.
Travis, I think we had this conversation once.
A time or two, maybe. That's the beauty of cannabis. It you're like, yeah, did we do this already? Be like, it doesn't matter.
Do we all have our limits? Yes.
Yeah.
But ultimately our heart speaks more than anything. And we've done so many charity events and so many, outreach stuff. And just as a community, as a whole, the metal community, we've come together so much to put that positive out into the world and give back to the ones that have supported us. So, it can go both ways. Yes. Believe me, I've seen Travis mad.
It's not a pleasant thing.
And he's seen me mad, and that's not pleasant either. But ultimately, like, if you stay positive, and like Travis said, like, there's days we remind each other, hey, we're still here. We still got the opportunities right in front of us. Let's take these and let's build from it.
Missy's like the sister I never got, so I'm just saying.
Yeah, no,
Thanks, Mom.
I think Missy and I have that same conversation all the time, and I have a sister. So Nikki, I'm so sorry if you do actually turn around and watch this. I still love you, but yeah, Missy's definitely my other sister. I'm so sorry. I think, and this is why I love these conversations, right? Like, particularly in music, as again, going back to this AI emergence and all of these new awesome features that could be out there, it all still goes back to how you use it and how you let it supplement or complement what it is you're working on and not ultimately replace it. So keeping that clear mindset of absolutely, if it's at your fingertips, figure out how to make it work, but never let it do all of the work.
100%. I think it's the easiest way. Supplement, don't replace. The human element will always be more beneficial.
So with that, I want to be mindful of time because, as usual, we could probably go on for hours and hours. And at some point, we probably will, and then just figure out splicing, and I'll get AI to do all of that editing for me.
I heard there's a pretty good plugin for that, actually.
So, until then,
I'll shoot you the link.
I'm going to be more of the boomer side of things and say I'm not there yet. That dang-fangled technology could do its own thing. But no, I think this is awesome, and I think it hammers home bands that are out there getting started. Look for resources. Don't hesitate to ask others for those resources. But at the end of the day, just get out there and still be human and add that personal touch.
On the nose.
I felt it.
Nailed it.
Felt it right there.
I just kind of punched myself on the nose. Actually,
that's not. That's
the gummy, Travis.
Are you going to show up to your show with one of those little bridges?
Oh, that's part of the shtick. Now we just whoop each other's ass before we get on stage. It makes us play better.
Well, there you go. I mean, that's. See,
we usually just beat the bass player.
And that's just basis in general, from what I understand. Unless you're patient 67, in which case you have over 1,000 bassists, then you just kind of have to deal with it. But ladies and gentlemen,
our bass player started hitting back though. Andy started hitting back, so now
technically he started it.
Well, it sounds like he's ready to take on that second guitar player role. Then
somebody please come and take it out of my hands. I like literally.
Please.
No, but
that's awesome.
Yeah, we appreciate you having us on, Danny. It's always a pleasure to get to hang out with you. I know we've only met a couple times in passing, but you're a good soul, man. So we appreciate this time.
Man, likewise, looking forward to what you guys have on the radar and looking forward to connecting with Scars again soon. Missy, always a pleasure. Thank you, as always, for everything that you do, not just with the Threshold, but for the entire community at large. Just, I know you give it your all, and the bands, the fans, and everyone in between recognizes it and appreciates you. So
I appreciate everybody.
Both of y'all.
There's the tagline you've been looking for, Missy, right there. The bands, the fans, and everyone in between. There you go, dude. Bro,
there we go.
Rolls right
Nailed
off,
it.
man.
And guess
rolls
what?
Right
it
off.
wasn't AI generated.
Yeah, I'm actually a robot, but that's a whole nother story.
I think sometimes you are, because you tripled my numbers at Blue Ridge. So you had like 78 miles. I only had like 36.
It was. I actually had to double check recently because I was looking down at my Fitbit after putting a couple shows back on the books this past week, and I looked down and I was like, oh, 20,000 steps today. Oh, another 20, and I'm like, these are rookie numbers compared to what I had to do for Blue Ridge. I'm screwed.
So I gotta ask before we get there this time, how bad is the hill?
It's a mountain.
It is not. So think about the hill at Blind Tiger, now Hangar 1819. And I was talking with Spoon about this after Bloodywood on Saturday. Think about that hill and just jog it a couple times, and you will feel the same kind of pressure that you would at that hill. It is similar grade.
But add the pits into it that you're hitting at the bottom of the hill, and then you got to go up that hill in that heat.
They are making upgrades to the hill. That was addressed in Jonathan's recent Facebook Live. There's our Blue Ridge plug for the evening. Thank you, AI. I appreciate that. And so, all right, I'm cutting us. We will be back. Thank you, as always. A true pleasure. We will talk soon.